What is going on, everybody? Y'all, it has been a minute. We are here, though. We have made it. Season 3, episode 1, the premiere of season 3. It's Pastor Fury. I'm here with my co-host, as always, Jariel. We're excited to bring you, once again, the Fury and Friends show. Let's go!
Woo!
Are you excited, Jariel?
I am, and for some reason, I'm very nervous.
Yeah, it's like we haven't been in that vibe for a minute,
Yeah. Like,
We took some time off from with summer, and actually, Jariel, you had a big change since we've been back. Why don't you let everybody know what's up?
Yeah, I am now living in the glorious state of Texas.
You mean the country of Texas, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's so big. But it's all good. It's like nice weather. It's been rather hot, but I like it.
Good. Yeah, so she is a Texan now. It's hard to believe. Yeah, it is so exciting that we're back here. We got Mercedes in the chat saying welcome back.
Hey, Mercedes.
Thanks for coming and checking out the show today, Mercedes. We're so excited for all you guys that are watching there, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or wherever else you're checking this out. We are so pumped to have y'all here. A lot's been going on. I think for me, this summer's been really good to try and slow down. But look, my whole family got COVID during the summer.
Yes.
Like that happened with y'all too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh. So like we've all been going through it. But we made it through. Actually, it was real messed up though, because so my family got COVID right as my wife and daughter were on a plane over to Italy to stay there with my wife's family for about a month. But they had to take a test before they left, and it said that they were negative. Wow. But that same day, my son, we were back at home, but my son, he started showing symptoms that afternoon.
Oh my God.
And then so we didn't realize it, but he had already infected all of us. Yeah, Mercedes said COVID hit everybody this summer. Like it was like the summer of COVID, huh?
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful that all the people that I've known that have had it, including us, like that went through it and it wasn't too bad. And I think, maybe a lot of that's a testament to the vaccine as well as this strain maybe being a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
And we got Rashonda Sparks. Are these all your people coming through here?
Yes.
Nice. Jariel's crew is showing up and representing. But we are so excited to be doing this, and we are not going to take too much time here at the front end, but we're going to give you a quick breakdown on what we're going to do today. We're going to be talking about a lot of the great stuff going on at Disney. Well, some of it's great, but there's a lot of announcements. We'll put that. They had their D23 Expo kind of last weekend, the end of last week, where they give, it's kind of like their version of a Comic-Con, where they break down all of the cool and exciting things that are coming. So we're going to kind of give you guys a quick rundown on those. We're going to give you guys an update on some of the amazing stuff that God's doing in the Unshackled Network, but specifically one of the churches overseas. And then we're going to get into the Word for a minute as we talk about being an imperfect disciple and how God uses us even when we're broken, right?
Yes.
And so we're going to have that as well. And then our main event is going to be our interview with Ginn Strode. Now, that interview was epic.
Yes, you're going to need this for the interview.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
The full version of that interview will be available later this week on both the Pastor Fury YouTube. For the first time, we're going to start putting the full-length versions on this YouTube, but they'll also be at the Freedom Story Media YouTube, which hosts the Freedom Stories podcast, which these are a part of. But having said all that, let's get ready to officially start the show, and let's do this. We'll be back in a sec. All right. So as I said, we're going to do some breaking down of the stuff going on in the Disney World at the D23 Expo. And we're going to give you guys a new segment when we have a ton of stuff that we're going to go through kind of like fast and furious. We're calling it the rundown. So here is our new segment. Welcome to the rundown. These little intros, I got to give shout out to my daughter, Layla. She is one of the basically the sole paid employee for Freedom Story Media. She's the only one getting paid, and she hooked us up with these cool little segment intros. But we are rocking out the rundown here today, and I don't want to waste too much time because we got like 22 announcements we're going to share, and that's not even everything that they shared because they were over like what, 3 days or something with the expo. Yeah. And we kind of cherry picked our favorites that we want to share with you guys. So we're going to kind of go in chronological order, but we're going to save our favorite elements for last to discuss. So coming up next in the timeline, actually this Wednesday, they're releasing Andor. So Andor is a new show that's coming to Disney Plus. That is, a Star Wars vehicle. It's a spinoff of the Rogue One series or Rogue One movie, which was actually the best of the new stuff, in my opinion. Yeah. And what they released right around the same time as the D23 Expo was an extended like clip from the show. So I saw that. That was pretty cool. Are you excited about this one at all?
Yeah, because I really like Rogue One as well. It's one of the better of the new Star Wars, and I love a spinoff. So if you want to spin anything off, I'm gonna watch it.
Like I remember you saying how you liked Frasier, and that was a spinoff of
Cheers, Cheers. Yeah, I love Frasier. Watch it every single night.
Yeah. I heard this one is you watch it every single night. I do not want to pass that.
That's what I fall asleep to.
Wow. I heard this one is supposed to be a bit more story driven than some of the other Star Wars stuff, and feels like Star Wars, but not fully like Star Wars. So I'm excited to see how that goes. So that is Andor. All right, number 2, we've got Hocus Pocus 2. Yes. For those of you guys who watched the first one, which came out in 93, they've got the same cast coming back. They've aged a bit.
Just a tiny.
I mean, but it's like what, 30 years later.
Yeah.
So they still are back at it with their magic. So that's coming in September. Actually, so September 30th. So in maybe a week and a half. So. Halloween. Yeah, I think that's coming straight to Disney Plus as well.
Yep.
Then the next one we've got Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night, they announced as an actual thing. So some of you guys who might have been Moon Knight fans, they had a like a QR code that you could scan in the Moon Knight show that was on like a wall or somewhere. If you scan that, it took you to a comic book that was called Werewolf by Night. And so they actually turned it into a show. It's coming out October 7th, and it's going to be a bit like, old school, film noir. I don't know, like those.
That's like a Dracula feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if that's going to be anything. I mean, it's different. So I like that, So that'll be coming to Disney Plus on the 7th of October. All right, number 4, we got Tales of the Jedi. They announced that as it's going to be having its episodes coming out October 26th. This is actually for a lot of those Clone Wars fans, folks who have really loved that and really got into, storylines with Count Dooku and Ahsoka, who are going to be the featured characters of this. They're going to give you a little bit of the light days of Count Dooku before he went dark. So it's kind of like how they did with Anakin. They're doing that now with Count Dooku. So I want to pick up the pace here. I'm looking at the time. It's like, man, 5 minutes and we're only through 4. We got 22. So I'm going to start hitting these faster. All right. Okay. So we got Disenchanted. That's coming on November 24th. It is 15 years later, and now she's looking for a new fairy tale, and she screws up, and now her fairy tale is going to go all wrong, and she's going to become like the villain, it looks like, from the trailer. They released a trailer. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Willow, November 30th. If you watch the first one, he's still little, And Willow is coming November 30th, where it's like before there was Lord of the Rings, there was Willow.
Yes.
Mandalorian 3 coming on in February of next year. They released a trailer for that. Looks dope. It looks better than Book of Boba. Looks like they're going back to the recipe. Mandalorian season 1 and 2. So I'm excited about that. Then we got Indiana Jones 5. I laugh as I say this because I found out that Jariel never saw the first Indiana Jones, or the second, or the third, or the fourth. So look, you can pass the fourth one. The fourth one was garbage.
Okay.
This one they said it's supposed to be good, but why would they ever say it was going to be bad? So I don't know.
Maybe I'll have a little binge fest.
That's supposed to be coming out next summer. So we'll see about that. Harrison Ford on the stage looked old, so I don't know how that's going to go. Yeah. Then we got Elemental. They showed a little image of some of the characters. If I'm being honest, the characters looked a lot like somebody from Soul, one of the Pixar's films, as well as one of the characters from Inside Out.
It's like a combination of the two.
Yeah. But it's like this character Wade, who's like water, and this character Ember, who's like fire. And I guess their journey together. Coming June 16th, also next summer. Then we got Ironheart. So we're going back to the MCU here. Actually, this might be the first real MCU one that we really talked about. Ironheart is set to come out in the fall of 2023. And they announced on the stage that not only Ryan Coogler is the executive producer of that, Ryan Coogler was the director of Black Panther and Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. But they also announced that the villain to Ironheart's hero is going to be the Hood, played by Anthony Ramos, who we might know from Hamilton and that new one that he did. It was another Lin-Manuel one. They're In the Heights.
Yes.
So he was like the main guy in that, and so now he's going to be the villain in this, and it looks like it's going to be setting science against supernatural.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. So that's fall of 2023. Then we got Daredevil, Born Again. That is going to be a reboot of the Daredevil franchise, not carrying on the Netflix stories, but they're going to be resetting it. We even got a taste of a little bit of a new look to Daredevil. If you've been watching in She-Hulk, they dropped a little bit of a teaser for that at the end of this 5th episode, which is my least favorite She-Hulk episode. Not getting into that right now, though. That is coming out in the spring of 2024. And it's going to be 18 episodes. So that's going to be a beat. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then we got Snow White. Will be released as a live action on March 22nd of 2024, featuring Gal Gadot, who you should know from Wonder Woman. We won't talk about Wonder Woman 1984 because that was garbage. But the first one was great. Yeah. And hopefully she kills it in this one as well. I'm imagining that she might be more of the Wicked Witch, or the I don't know what's the bad guy in Snow White. It's like a witch.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe she'll be Snow White. I don't know.
Evil Queen.
Evil Queen. Yeah, Evil Queen. She gives me Evil Queen vibes. Let me just put it that way.
She's definitely not. She's too older to play Snow White. So
yeah, I think you're right. Snow White's supposed to be like young and like
yeah.
All right, and then Inside Out 2. We kind of mentioned Inside Out already, but Inside Out 2 is coming June 14th, 2024. That's where they're actually going to be taking the same girl and making her a teenager. And we go into these in a bit more detail in an epic episode of the Good Dad, Bad Dad podcast, which you can be on the lookout for soon. They're one of the sponsors of this segment. But my co-host and I, Eric, we did a 2-hour episode on the release of this. Never been that long before. But I digress. Inside Out 2, I think it's going to be a bit more explosive because now we're looking at the feelings of a teenager.
Yeah, I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, that one seems weird. Or interesting, I should say.
Yeah.
Mufasa, The Lion King. That is going to be a prequel and going into Mufasa's story, but not cartoon. That's going to be live action. I wasn't a fan of the live action Lion King, but I think it was because it was just the same story. Basically. And so we'll see. With this being something fresh, maybe it'll be interesting to me. That's July 5th, 2024. And then we got Fantastic Four coming out November 8th. That is also 2024. we don't really have a cast yet, but I just heard a rumor. I don't know if you heard this, that John Krasinski, who showed up as Fantastic Four in the last Doctor Strange, is out and not going to be. That's what I heard. It's a rumor. Don't quote me on this, but the rumor is that he's not going to be Mr. Fantastic. So we'll see.
Aren't we getting Henry Cavill though?
I don't know. So I heard that is not in. I heard that he was going to be Doctor Doom, right?
Yeah.
Potentially. We'll see. People just talk. People just say things, and then you watch the thing, and it's like, wait a minute, that wasn't it.
Henry Cavill.
We'll see. It'd be great to get him over from DC and like, he's ours now.
Yeah.
And then we got Armor Wars. They didn't give us an actual release date, but they're starting filming next year. So I'm guessing maybe 2024 sometime. That's going to be following War Machine. I did, however, hear that fulfills Don Cheadle's contract.
Oh, wow.
That he won't be under contract anymore. I don't think that means he's done.
Yeah.
But it could. He's free to not continue.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He also got nominated for like an Emmy for his part in, what was it? Like Captain America, Falcon and Winter Soldier, which was he did like this much in there. And I'm like, bro, really? Y'all just trying to give him awards. I ain't mad, but he was even surprised. All right, so we saved our favorites for last. So we're going to talk a little bit about, let's see. Oh, I don't have the trailers queued up here. Let's see if I can grab those real quick. But we've got our favorite kind of stories or shows that are coming. So one of those was Wakanda Forever, which is, it's Wakanda Forever. So they had an amazing trailer that they released for that. It was just kind of touching and kind of heartbreaking in some parts where you can see that they're trying to celebrate, Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
But what are you most excited about with that, Dario?
I'm kind of just interested to see what they're going to do with this story. I know it's probably just going to be a tearjerker because I can't watch Black Panther without getting emotional now. I'm like, oh. But yeah, I'm just excited about what they're going to do with the characters. And I just love like the visuals that Ryan Coogler has in his movies. It's just like amazing.
Yeah, he knocked it out of the park with the first one. And it was like a huge introduction to Ryan Coogler, like, because nobody knew who he was, like what he can do. And I'm so curious about who's going to be the new Black Panther. We see the introduction of there she is, Riri Williams, who's going to be Ironheart. So we see, oh my gosh, Namor the Submariner, who was a classic, one of the first characters in the Marvel comic book Avengers, I want to say. But this looks like it's going to be really dope. And they I don't know. They got a hard act to follow with the first one.
Exactly. It's going to be a tough one to do, but I'm excited.
And this one, I was telling my co-host in Good Dad Bad Dad podcast, I was saying this is the one that is most likely to disappoint me, and not because I'm like afraid it's going to be bad, but because I have such high expectations for it. So it's almost like it can only either meet or disappoint,
Yeah, for sure.
Mercedes, you say you've only seen the first. Is that from? Oh, that was a comment from like 5 minutes ago. That must have been about Indiana Jones.
It's probably Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Going back to the Indiana Jones bit, the first one was great. I actually literally just saw that again last night. But the third one, the Last Crusade with Sean Connery, that was my favorite one.
Okay.
And then they followed that up by the trash that was the Crystal Skull or whatever. So, anyways, we don't want to get back to that. But Wakanda Forever, that's going to be coming out on November 11th. So that's right around the corner. We're talking like 2 months. So super pumped about that. I'll probably see that at least twice in the theaters.
Yes.
Do you have any predictions about who you think is going to be the new Black Panther?
I don't. I hope I hope whatever choice they make, like it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care.
I have confidence in that.
Yeah, as long as it makes sense.
Yeah. All right. And then we've got Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion is a new storyline here that is really going more into Fury's story.
Yeah.
And we get we get a bit more of his character development, and then we also are going to get to see this thing that's been building with the scrolls. We kind of saw sneaks of that, like in WandaVision, I think, where it's like, wait, who's real, who's not real. What was that in Miss Marvel?
And Captain Marvel.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
She's different.
So it's like things are going to be revealed.
And I love.
So what are you so excited about with that one?
Well, I love anything with Samuel Jackson.
How much do I know about him?
I mean, that is where I get Fury from, right?
Yeah.
Like from Nick Fury, his role in the first Avengers.
Fury?
When he pops up in a movie, I always love it. So I just can't wait to see what they do with the scrolls, because it's like potentially they could be anybody, and you never know.
Right. It's a game-changing storyline in the MCU that could be a way that they literally rewrite the ending for other people. Mm-hmm. Like if somebody ended up getting killed and they're like, you know what, actually we don't think that should, they could bring back Iron Man in this way.
Exactly.
Like, actually, he was a scroll. Yeah. So, I don't think they will do that, but
no.
I think that's interesting. One thing I'm excited about with this one is the potentiality of them having some people from the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because it's more going into the S.H.I.E.L.D. world. That would be cool to get like a Quake in there, Chloe Bennett, so we'll see. I'm looking forward to Secret Invasion as well. And then we've got one of those that I think has been I don't want to call it controversial. It's only controversial because people are ridiculous. But we've got the one and only Little Mermaid coming back. This is the first live action of Little Mermaid, and they did the great reveal of Halle Bailey as Little Mermaid in this little teaser trailer that they give you, and they're showing you the world of her underworld, or the underwater world, which is super cool to see. Is there anything that you are particularly excited about with this?
Well, I'm excited about this soundtrack because she can sing. Like, it's gonna be awesome. I'm like, man, this soundtrack's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I agree. And like the look, like the cinematography and the building of that underwater world actually looks good. Like, it looks legit.
Yeah. And I'm actually just excited about it being a good movie, and then people just being like, why was I caring that a mermaid was black?
It's like, so suddenly you think mermaids are real, that now they can't be whatever color that we choose. Like,
exactly.
Like, surprised people aren't going nuts over Avatar. Why do they have to be blue? Like, what? And Avatar 2 was one of those things that was announced, and actually it's not on our list. I don't know why it didn't make the list, but they announced Avatar 2's release and everything. So we got Little Mermaid, the live action coming, and that'll be super dope. And then we've got, they announced Thunderbolts cast. Mercedes said, wait, Little Mermaid is her favorite. Look, Mercedes, look, I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something real quick. Let's step back off of Thunderbolts for a second. I know we're over the time of the segment. So I'm gonna just put it out there. Growing up, I had a mad crush on Little Mermaid. I had a mad crush. Like, like if I could date a cartoon, I was gonna date Ariel. She was my boo. And then so much so, actually, we almost named Layla Ariel, my daughter. But Larissa was like, no.
Like, no, thanks.
No, we're not having that. Sorry about that. I had to share. All right. Thunderbolts, Thunderbolts, Thunderbolts.
Yes.
Thunderbolts is actually the thing I'm probably the most excited about because it's the closest thing that we're going to get to the Avengers for a while. There's going to be another Avengers movie in, what is that, like 2025, I think is. There's two of them coming out. There's like Kang Dynasty and the Secret Wars.
Yeah.
But that's like 2 whole phases away. But Thunderbolts is going to be at the end of phase. Oh, Rashonda laughing at my love of Ariel. But Thunderbolts is going to be a collection of some kind of anti-heroes. Yeah. So we've got the Contessa, whatever her name is, Valentina, something.
Yeah.
It's Elaine.
Elaine from Seinfeld.
Yeah. She's bringing together this band of misfits. She's kind of like the anti-Nick Fury, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And the crew is going from left to right. So we got Contessa, and then we got Ghost from Ant-Man and Wasp.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Red Guardian, who's the dad from Black Widow. And then his daughter, one of the two, is Yelena. I think in other cases they've called her the White Widow. I don't know if they're going to refer to her that in this, show and stuff, but she's hilarious. Love her.
I love her.
And then you've got Bucky, Winter Soldier, probably the most stable of the crew. That's what they said when they announced this. Kevin Feige was like, it's crazy when you're the most stable member of the group. Because then we go to the really broken version of Captain America, U.S. agent. He's a nut job, but he's part of the crew. And then you got Taskmaster, also from Black Widow, who has her own broken story. So I don't know what their whole thing's going to be, if they're going to look more like good guys or bad guys, but I think they're really going to be more like the gray, the in-between of the good and the bad. So that is everything that we are most excited. Is there anything that you want to say more about Thunderbolts? Because I feel like I took over that one.
Well, I'm glad you clarified who the person on the end was. I was so confused. I was like,
when I first saw her, I thought it was Echo.
Oh, see, I thought it was the guy from Captain America, the one I don't like.
Oh, the one on the end on the right?
Yeah, the girl.
Oh, the girl on the left.
No, not the girl from Ant-Man. The one that I think she got burned.
Oh, yeah. That's Taskmaster.
Yeah, I thought she was someone else. I'm like, who?
Gotcha.
So I'm glad you clarified. But
and that was a controversial character when they put her out on the big screen, because in the comic books, Taskmaster really hardcore learns how to do everybody's fights, moves, and everything, and replicates exactly what they do, and then is like really strong. And then for that to be like this just really messed up in the head young woman, like it just felt weird.
Yeah.
So. And I'm all for including more and more women, in the MCU.
Yeah.
That one specifically felt like, but whatever.
Yeah, they could have done more with that.
Yeah. All right, so that is what we are excited about. Let us know in the comments, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, if there's anything that you're specifically excited about that you heard about at D23, or some of the thoughts you have on some of the stuff that we shared. So now let's move on to our next segment here. We're only 10 minutes over time. It is what it is. Like, I'm not surprised. But we got a new segment here where we're going to break down some of the things that are going on, how God is working in the midst of our network and in Freedom Story Media. So let's go ahead and hit it up with In the Loop. All right, you guys, what is going on? We want to keep you all in the loop with what's going on throughout the globe as it relates to Freedom Story Media and the Unshackled Network, who are the sponsors of this segment. Today, we're going to give you guys some info on the way that God is using a brother in Christ out in Kenya. His name is Abraham. I think we got a picture of him. Yeah, he is an amazing man of God who is doing his thing out there in Nairobi, and right there in the slums. And he's got a ministry. The name of the church, I think it's called Lord of Glory, I want to say, and they're part of the Unshackled Network, one of our micro churches that we get to bless on a monthly basis with a little bit of financial support. So any money that you do give to the Unshackled Network, a piece of that goes to support his ministry. And they also have a ministry called Steps of Kindness, where they do some really intentional outreach to the young kids in there. And most recently, there's a picture of their whole church. Like, they're a smaller church. That's what we do, really, is really focusing on a lot of those younger and smaller ministries. But they are in the midst of trying to even raise funds to get some more technical capabilities, some more equipment, so that they can actually share the gospel in a more profound way. Rather than me saying it right now, I'm going to show you guys the quick campaign video for it. So let's go check it out.
Have you ever noticed the difference that quality sound can make? We often take it for granted, but when you don't hear things clearly, the message gets lost. And that's the worst thing when you're dealing with something that's as important as the message of the gospel. My name is Pastor Armand Sheffy, aka Pastor Fury, and I am the Executive Director of the Unshackled Network. And one of our micro churches that's all the way out in Nairobi, Kenya, is struggling with sound. They are in the midst of a really busy area in the slums, and it's hard for them to be able to deliver that message with all the things that are going on in the background. Can you imagine if you didn't hear me right now with a quality sound and all you heard was wind blowing and maybe if there were cars going by? That's the situation that they have right now.
We are having a challenge where we are preaching the gospel, the area we are in, and it is noisy.
So this is the place where the church is, and this is a place where we need instruments and where we need equipments.
We are requesting for anybody willing to donate to us and help us get equipment. We are requesting for $3,000 that will help us buy the instruments needed. If the Lord touches your heart, you can help us reach out to people in this area we are in Nairobi, Kenya. So thank you so much. We are waiting for your support. May God bless you.
I want to know, would you partner with him? Would you partner with Pastor Abraham as he's trying to reach Nairobi, Kenya with the message of the gospel? You can do that by going to unshacklednetwork.org/give. You'll find information about how to be a part of this campaign or many others that are doing the work of trying to bless those in the margins of many communities here and abroad. Thank you in advance for blessing the kingdom. Be blessed and be a blessing.
Well, you guys, that is an amazing opportunity for any of you guys that may be feeling compelled by the Lord right now to give. I actually just yesterday was able to send him the most recent amount of funds. They were looking to get to, I want to say it was $3,000. We got $400 raised. So we sent $400 over so he can start getting the first piece of the equipment. And he was like super pleased to even have that. So those of you maybe who are watching that were even part of that giving, I want to thank you so much for that. And more than even just that, I really would covet you guys' prayers for the ministry over there. There's so many things that are happening right here in Lake County, but I'll just be honest, the needs that they have far eclipse what we have here in the work that we're trying to do. So I would really invite you guys into prayer for him and his ministry. And in the episodes to come, we'll be slowly showing you guys some more of the different things that are going on in the network here and afar. So I hope you guys stay tuned for those as well. And if you haven't already, now's a great time to hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss any of those future episodes and opportunities. You want to add anything about Pastor Abraham and what's going on over there?
No, I just love what he's doing. He's just a really nice and genuine guy.
Yeah.
From the time that I got to chit chat with him a little bit, but yeah, it's just exciting to see what he does and just how he blesses those kids, even with the meals and stuff.
Yeah. And if we can get our video situation working a little bit better, I'd love to have him as a guest on the show. And nothing else, I might send him a handful of questions and have him answer them. Because every time we've tried to do a live stream conversation, I mean, the challenges have just been really extreme.
Yeah.
But I want to invite you guys into prayer for that. So that's what's going on. That's keeping y'all in the loop. So you guys ready to now maybe get in the word for a minute? As we transition to a bit more of really what we feel like God has been speaking to us recently. It's related to even the interview that we're going to have in a little bit. But there's a lot of there's a lot of misunderstanding out there about how God operates and how he works, specifically in how he works through people. And I think there's this thought that people have that if I have fallen, if I have failed, if I mess up, if I make mistakes, that I've fallen out of grace or I can no longer be used by God. And we're here to tell you that is a lie. That is a lie from the pit of hell. That God not only would use you, but has shown a significant pattern throughout the Bible and human history that he continues to use broken people. And if you don't believe us, we're going to spend a little bit of time getting into the word on that today. But I thought I'd start off with a fun little video that our brother Kirk Franklin actually posted maybe in the past month, kind of on this topic. So let's check this out. It's a real quick one.
Abraham was a liar. Noah, an alcoholic. Job doubted God several times. Samson was promiscuous. David was a hoe and a murderer. Elijah was suicidal. Peter was embarrassed to let folk know he knew Jesus. Rahab, prostitute. The disciples often were weak, jealous of each other, and even fell asleep on Jesus the night he was arrested. The Samaritan woman couldn't even keep a husband, and Moses had anxiety. So, what's so bad that you've done that God can't use you?
Oh, I love how he breaks out the apple at the end of it, like. but it's so true. Like that's just a quick breakdown of a handful of the folks that like God has clearly demonstrated, even though you've messed up, even though you're broken, I will use you. I know there was a sermon years ago at the church we were a part of at the time that our Pastor Carter did. The bottom line of it has always stuck with me. And it was this: God makes straight lines with crooked sticks.
Yeah. And
like us being the crooked sticks, and he would use us to do the beautiful, perfect things, the holy things that he has planned. Yeah. So we thought today, as we go into this next segment, we would actually get into the Bible and take a look at one such disciple. And we're going to be talking about Peter. So let's get in the Word. So as we get in the Word today, we're going to be looking at Peter, who is a great example of a broken disciple, if you will. The man is all over the place with a lot of his, I don't know, his issues, we'll say. Yeah. One example of that comes out of Matthew 16:23, where it says, Jesus turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns." Like this, when Jesus was saying this, what happened in the situation? I should have broke it down first. But what happened was, like, Jesus is telling them, like he's been telling them over and over again, that I am getting ready to die on the cross. I'm going to give my life. And Peter's like, no, don't. And like, Jesus is like, boy, You getting it wrong. We've been walking together how long, and you still don't know? You still missing the headline?
Mm-hmm.
And so he just comes at him. He's like, yo, get behind me, Satan. And like at the same time, this is the same one, even though he's saying he's a stumbling block to me, he's the same one that he actually does call Peter, Simon Peter, meaning like the rock that I'm going to build my church on, that like the foundational truth that you've claimed of knowing who I am is what I'm going to build the truth or build my church on. Yeah. And at this moment here, he's like, yo, get behind me. Yeah. It's like, man, he's like, yeah, you're falling. You're forgotten it.
Yeah, so, you're not getting it.
Yeah, you're missing it. You're missing it, Peter. And then I think this is one of your favorite ones.
Yeah.
So this is what, Jesus in the garden. You want to set it up real quick?
Yeah, this is when they were coming to arrest Jesus. And again, Peter's like, oh, even though he knew this was gonna be going down, he's like, oh no, we're gonna put a stop to this. And he chops off one of the guy's ears.
Yeah, can you see that? You want to read that for him?
Yes. Then Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Jesus commanded Peter, put your sword away. Shall I not drink the cup that the Father has given me?
So once again, no. Yeah, he's missing it again. He's still missing it, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny that like this follows the other conversation, and it's like, you still don't get it, Peter. Like, you still don't get it.
It follows like a long list of things, though, not walking on water, like so many things. So he's still just like, no.
Yeah, I mean, so let's get into that list. I think we have those. So let's look it down. Look at all of Peter's failings. So we highlighted two of our favorites, but like, he doesn't walk on water. Like, so he does for a minute. He's like feeling it. And then wait, what happened? I'm focused on something else. So that's in Matthew 14:22. We already mentioned this one where he rejects the idea of Jesus dying on the cross.
Mm-hmm.
Peter resists being washed by Jesus. There's a scene where Jesus is like, kind of like during that Last Supper scene where he's like, I need to wash y'all. And Peter's like, no. And like, he means good by it, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm beneath you,
I'm
Lord.
not worthy. Yeah.
But Jesus is like, yo, you gotta be washed by me. If you can wash by me, you can't have nothing to do. Oh, he's like, oh, okay, my bad, Jesus. My bad. Then wash it all, wash everything. Get my head. That's one of the things I love about Peter is that, like, though he gets it wrong, that like when he's rebuked, when he's challenged, like he repents and he returns and he, because his heart is really to follow Jesus,
Yes, exactly.
He falls asleep in prayer. He wasn't alone. Like, we isolating Peter here. Like, everybody was.
You know what? I try to read my Bible at night on sleep.
The whole crew was like, man, Jesus, I mean, I feel like walking with you is a prayer. So why?
Exactly.
Yeah. They all catching Z's. This was a big one for me. So Peter, he spends a lot of his time with the Jews and ministering to the Jews, but then he also ministers to the Gentiles. The problem is he starts acting different. He starts acting like, well, the Gentiles are beneath me when the Jews are around. Mm-hmm. And like, it's like, man, you're gonna be two-faced like that?
Yeah.
Real, Peter?
Yeah.
And Paul calls him out. Paul's not having it. Paul's like, what, man? You better stop playing. And I mean, actually, going back, I don't know if I can go back on this. Related to that, Peter also gets, corrected by God with how he looks at the Gentiles and their receiving of the Spirit as well, because he calls them unclean. And then God in prayer, in a dream, is like, Peter, like, don't call unclean what I've called clean. Yes. Now go and talk to my homie Cornelius and let their whole family come to know me. And like, he goes in obedience. But it's weird, that whole conversation. He's like, y'all know I shouldn't even be talking to y'all. Like, it's like, dang, bro.
I know.
But then they all receive the Spirit, everybody gets saved, and it's a great ending. But like, once again, Peter's broken, you know. And then you mentioned it before, him cutting off the ear of the arresting officer.
Yeah.
And then Peter denying Jesus. Hello. Like, it don't get bigger than that one.
No, I don't even know that, man.
Yeah, I don't even know that cat. Like, yeah, that's crazy, right? Yeah, I don't even know what me.
Who is that guy?
Yeah, that was little Pete. That wasn't me. I'm Peter, you know. Yeah. So he gets it wrong, and he gets it wrong consistently. And one of the things that I love is it's not like Peter got it wrong and then he came to know Jesus and everything's right.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was like, this is all while Peter's walking with Jesus.
Yeah.
We don't even talk about any of the things that he did while he was just a fisherman.
Yes.
This is after he came to know God, you know?
Exactly.
So it's like, cannot God use us as well? And the first point about this is God is not surprised by our brokenness.
Correct.
He knew that Peter was going to deny him. He even told Peter this, hey, yo, by the time the crow, you know, or whatever it calls or whatever makes its noise, like, you're going to deny me 3 times. He's like, and Peter's like, no, you got it wrong. God's like, okay. So he knows, he's not surprised. Like, we can't disappoint him if like there's not an expectation that he has on us to do things in a different way, because he stands outside of space and time and he recognizes this is what is going to be true. And you know, I'm not surprised by it, you know. He's not surprised that we needed a savior. That's why he sent Jesus. He had a plan to send Jesus before time was even created. You know?
Exactly.
So he's not surprised. Are there any places in your own walk where you feel like it helps for you to recognize that God's not surprised? Like, maybe we should just get real about some of the places where we maybe have failed before. Maybe is there an opportunity or a moment? Do you want me to go first? Where there's like, man, this is a place where, like, man, I kind of fell, and I'm glad that God wasn't surprised. I just sprung this on her. We didn't talk about this.
Just point one. There's so many. Yeah.
So look, I'll go first. Like, I know when I look back at my story, one of the, and mine's gonna be probably harder to follow because, like, I just know I get real vulnerable. But I remember when I was in a successive amount of adulterous situations early on in my marriage, and stepped out on my wife for a while, and she didn't know, and it was just bad. It was real bad. And it blows my mind to think that, like, while that was sin, and that stuff grieves me deeply, and I have sorrow every time I think about it, that it was not a surprise to God. That was stuff that he had already had a plan for, redeeming and for giving me grace. And part of the way that it's being redeemed is like in this moment right now, where I can speak of that as part of my truth, and the fact that, like, my story didn't end there. And, like, now my wife and I, we experience a marriage that, like, it doesn't even make sense how good we have it. And we're having so many conversations with so many people that we love that are going through it right now as a couple. And we're like, man, why have we been spared from that? Yeah. And it's his grace. It's his grace and mercy on our relationship. And because we went through a lot of that brokenness, and we made it out with God's help, that we feel stronger. So, and I'm just so grateful that God wasn't surprised by that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to share, or is that me going too deep, setting the bar too? I told you I go deep. Like, and you can talk about how you spent too much money at the mall one day if you want.
Well, I think for me, it's like, probably like in the last couple years, I've been like dealing with kind of like just a depression that is very strange for me because it and then it's like affected just how I feel about not my relationship with the Lord, but it kind of makes me like question like my purpose. And I know that that's a lie from the enemy, but sometimes, I give into that and, I'll just be in this downward spiral of just, questioning God's plan for my life, even though he's still showing his goodness and mercy every day. So I think it's just one of those things where you don't you don't expect to experience those things as a Christian, but you do. It's just that's the reality. I think people like to think those things don't happen to Christian and Christians don't have those types of thoughts and stuff. But I just am grateful that the Lord, it is a part of the Lord's plan. And, I'm starting to recognize like that is a lie from the enemy because it's just like a thought where I'm just like, that doesn't even make sense in any realm spiritual.
Right.
Like, why am I thinking like that? So it's been kind of a struggle, but it's just been good to walk through it with the Lord because it's like, man, and that he's not surprised by it.
Yeah. And
surprised. What's this all about?
But it's so good for us to remember because we're always going to be surprised. But it's so good for us to remember that the one we're walking with, the one that we're following, isn't right.
Yeah,
so it's like when you're walking through the dark and you don't know where you're going, or if you're playing one of those games where maybe you got a blindfold on and somebody's leading you, right? You're going to be surprised by anything that you feel like you're touching or whatever, but they see it all and they know where you're headed. And they're walking you through it, and though you may bump and stumble, they're not going to let you fall. And like the Lord is never surprised by any of the things and the mistakes that we make. And it's just beautiful to know that not only is he good and loving, but he's sovereign, and he's outside of all of this, making a way for us to persevere and to move forward in it. So, and that is a great, thing for the next plan, that he still plans great things for broken people. And as he's walking us through this, like part of the difficulty that we went through now becomes like the platform that he builds, the thing that he wants us to do and be used by in the next season.
Correct. It's it's a building block almost. And sometimes you don't see it until you're past that moment. And then you realize like, oh, I went through this because you encounter somebody or something in the next season of your life that situation helped. And it's just like, wow, Lord, I love how you use the brokenness for your good.
Yep. Amen. He uses it all. He uses it all. What is that? That Romans 8:28, that, he will work all things together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purposes.
Yes.
I know my mom was on here earlier today, and that's like her favorite verse. So you guys, no matter what has happened, no matter where you even currently find yourself, God's not done with you. God can still and will still use you. Just continue to persevere in your walk with him. Even if you've turned and gone the other way, it's not too late to turn back. Give yourself all over again. That should be like even a daily practice for us, is to let it go and surrender whatever it is to him, and knowing that he's going to use the broken pieces to make like a beautiful mosaic,
Yes.
So. Yes. All right. Well, what do you say? Now we transition to our main event. This is an exciting one. So here's our next segment. We'll get to it right now. Oh. For our main event today, you guys, we are super pumped about having a bit of the interview I had with Ginn Strode. Now, Ginn is a friend of both of ours. We were looking at the potential guests for this season, and she was one of the first names that we actually agreed on. And I was so excited to be able to interview her last week. And we hadn't really chatted in a while, so it was good kind of catching up. And it got deep. We got into some real stuff. Now, we can't show you everything for the sake of time, and we're, like I said earlier, we're running like 10 minutes behind the original plan. But we're going to show you 2 good portions of that interview, and the entirety of the interview is going to be on the Pastor Fury YouTube later this week, as well as on the Freedom Story Media YouTube. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe here below so you don't miss that. But to begin with, one of the questions that I asked her, we were talking about it. Jaria, what were you comparing when we were talking about authenticity? You were comparing.
Yeah, I said I love the way that Ginn lives her life. She lives her life like the Twitter version and not the Instagram version, because Instagram is super curated. And so when she's experiencing something, she's going to give it to you straight up like they do on Twitter. Not
right. Giving you the real and like not the fake version that's all done up and
filtered.
Yep. So I with that thought in mind, I asked her about authenticity and why that's an important thing for her. We talk about hopelessness and we talk about judging folks in this next segment, this first segment here. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now.
That people were like, don't overshare on Facebook, or they're, the introverts were like, we don't need to know all the things. And I'm like, but it's my platform.
Right.
If I want you to know all the things, then I'll tell you all the things. Right. And so I was like, that's just a part of my personality. And I'm okay with that. I think what happened was, I would say probably over the last 5 years, there's been a lot of maturing that's happened. And there's been a lot of emotional healing. And so I think that's been really huge, is that it's not that I need to keep things like necessarily to myself. It's just more of a, I'm not going to necessarily feel this way in 2 hours. Right?
Yeah. That's so powerful just because I know you. So to hear you say that, because I know, and we would have our conversation. I'm trying not to like make this like two homies like catching up.
No,
but like we would have our conversations, and I would get a sense from you, just from a lot of the challenges that I know you've experienced, and repeatedly it seemed like that there was this sense of hopelessness that was growing, and not a hopelessness in like, is Jesus going to save me? There's no hope, but like, does Jesus have something
better?
Right. Yeah. Does he have something good for me on this side of eternity? And like I was starting to see that like that didn't seem like a hope that you were having anymore, and it was like a painful thing for you to even hold on to that. So to hear you even say like, in the midst of a painful experience, like, but I'm not gonna feel like this in a couple of hours, like that's huge.
Yeah,
because that right there just says I know that this right now isn't gonna be forever. And I know that wasn't always how you felt about some of the situations you were in.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm like tearing up.
No, it's okay.
Very much like there was lots of hard stuff that kept coming. And it was like, some of it was my own like stupidity. And some of it was just like, are you kidding me right now? Like it was, what did I do to piss God off? Sorry.
No, you good. You good. We're a real podcast.
All right. I'm like, why is God so angry with me? And there was this like, I wasn't good enough for the white evangelical church. I never, like, I grew up in this church, this denomination, and I don't want to, it's not about throwing shade, right? It's about my experience where I wasn't enough. and I had let them down, and I I disappointed them. And in turn, I thought that was me disappointing God.
Wow. You had like equated the responses of the church to God. Yeah.
Totally. And here we are, a whole lifetime later, and I realized that God is not disappointed with me. Not only is he not disappointed with me, he is a sovereign God. He knew all of the things. He knew what I would struggle with. He knew what parts of my humanity would make me stumble. He knew that I would have ADHD. In fact, he created my brain to think this way. And he knew that it would take me a few more times around the mountain to get things.
Right.
People talk about how long it took the Israelites to get around the mountain, right? 40 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Feeling that. And there's judgment about it was a 12-day walk or something. I used to know this stuff, but I've forgotten it. But and how could they have messed it up? And I'm like, bro, let me tell you the ways.
That's so interesting, because it's so easy in retrospect after the story's been written to step back and evaluate the landscape and all of this and make judgments about the way that the experiences were for those in the past. And that's interesting that I don't think we give ourselves enough grace in the midst of our journey, probably because we judge the past so harshly as well.
We judge the past, we judge other people. I mean, I remember having a conversation with another single mom who had gotten married. It didn't go so well. Then she got divorced. And I'm like, in my heart, and I have since asked for forgiveness for this, but being real, I was like, well, if you had chosen better. What a jerky thing to say. And then, here I was 5 or 6 years later going through the same, because I didn't choose better. I didn't do better. And then I realized that, now I realize that holy cow, this is just part of being human. We don't do it perfect. And that is why his mercy is new every morning. That is why his grace is what, fills our spaces. And I know we talk about not using grace like a credit card. And I agree with that. But I also know that Jesus meets us exactly where we're at. And I feel in the church so much, we just want to be well, if you did it differently, if you prayed more, if you, read your Bible more, and I'm not saying that some of those things aren't true, right? We need to have real relationship with Jesus, but that's the part that does the changing.
Right. That's it. Yep.
Real relationship with Jesus. I know that there are so many people that look at my life right now. I am living my best life. I am the closest to Jesus that I have ever been. I am the happiest that I have ever been. I am the most grateful. I am a more humble version of myself. This is the best version that Ginn Strode has ever been.
Come on.
Yeah. And I'm so I know that people look into my life. I'm so much better of a mom than I was. There's balance in my life. So I know that there are people who look into my life and are thinking that I've jumped ship, that I'm not loving Jesus, that I'm not doing the Jesus thing right. And I'm I probably would have thought the same thing a while back. And but I know the truth. And there was a point to that, and I've lost it.
No, that's okay. But I think one of the things I was just grabbing a hold of there is it's attached to that conversation around the judgments that we make about others, is that we're constantly looking for external markers to evaluate something that's unseen, to evaluate like the intangible. And like the truth is, like we don't always have those. I mean you look at the you look at the way that Samuel, who was a man of God, went to try and evaluate who would be the king that he was being sent to anoint, and he got it wrong like multiple times in this one scenario. And God was like, no. Like, it's the guy out in the field. Like, I see his heart, And like, if someone who's that much of a, a spiritual leader who speaks on behalf of the Lord, like, can at the same time make the wrong assessment, I think it makes sense that so many of us do the same when we're looking, when we're looking to make assessments in situations that we don't always need to be making an assessment. Why are you trying to assess somebody else's life? Okay.
Right. It's not your business.
Right. It's not your business. At least Samuel was sent there for that. but where he fell short was he still thought that the Lord was asking him to make an assessment. That was not the assignment. The assignment was the anointing, not the assessing.
Ooh, there's a sermon there.
Right.
Anointing, not the assessment. I feel like you should preach on that.
Well, that segment was a really good one. I really loved how she really dove into how she struggled, with believing that God's got something good. And I think we can often look at our mistakes, right, in this conversation about things that we've done wrong, and think that because of those, now God doesn't have anything good for us and we've blown it. Was there anything powerful that you wanted to pull out of that segment?
Yeah, I just think like how she was just explaining how, we are actually the ones that are like putting all the pressure on ourselves. Like we have these expectations that we think God has of us. And yeah, there are some, obviously there's 10 commandments, that sort of thing. But we then like add these extra layers of, oh, I'm not doing this right. Oh, I'm not doing this right. So then you're just walking around feeling like the worst Christian in the world. And he's like, he's walking around holding out the grace, but we're like, I don't deserve that.
It's like the way that he was trying to wash Peter, and Peter's like, no. It's the same way. Like, he's like, but you don't understand. This is the shape and form that my grace is coming in. And if you reject it, you're missing everything.
And just like she said, like, what did she do to make God so mad? And it's like, we do think that sometimes, like, man, what is going on? I did something. And you're like trying to like pinpoint it. It's not that. It's not that.
And I also love how she said, and she just pointed out the simple reality of that it's not all of our behavior modification plans and all of us doing this differently, doing that differently. But it's the focus on the relationship with Jesus and that being the vehicle by which all of the change occurs, right? So going back to that washing metaphor again, like Peter's like, I got myself, like, I'm clean, I can do that. And Jesus is like, no, you need me to do it. It's like, if you don't have that, you can't actually, experience all that I know you want, and that I think is a lot of what happens with us is we forget that in all of our efforts to try and do things better, fix what's broken, yada, 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 it's all about that relationship with Jesus and letting him be the one that fixes us,
Exactly.
And then our follow-up segment here with her was another really powerful one where she actually gets into a bit of some of those things that she thinks makes it hard to remember who she is in the Lord and her identity. And then I asked her specifically, so as a single mom, you know, knowing that that was a big part of her journey and some of the things that I think brought on struggles for her. I said, as a single mom, what do you think are some of the things that have a tendency for other single moms maybe to lead them away from a surrendered life with Jesus? And here's what she said.
You know, like I feel like I've lived the majority of the last 20 years in survival. And, you know, we talked a little bit about the trust issues that I had from the beginning of my life. I came into my relationship with Jesus, like at that, you know, 18-year-old or 18-year mark. When I walked into that relationship, I had left someone, right? The boyfriend, and I was trying to get that American dream, right? What I thought I was supposed to have and do. And I think that's what I got a lot of, like, I didn't do it. Like, I liked booze and I liked drugs and I liked sex and like you know, like I was all the typical like broken stuff you're not supposed to do as a Christian because, you know, and then I would just live in this desperation of like, why can't I get it right? And now I'm so much like, there's a lot of stuff that was hard, you know, and as a single mom, I feel like time and money and trying to consistently level up, you know, just I could never make it. I could never get to the points where I was supposed to be. And it left me feeling completely useless, completely devoid. Like I had no purpose in the kingdom, let alone in people's lives. And, you know, I think about the mistakes that I've made or the times that I've wandered away from God. And, you know, the one that really sticks out the most currently is, I mean, I went through all the hard stuff as a single mom, as far as like not knowing where money was going to come from. And I'm a hard worker. So it was never a work thing. It was more of a, I don't know. Sorry, I'm trying to collect myself.
No, that's okay.
I was so angry at God. You know, I was like, you could have like made me like a healthy weight or like given me parents that had, you know, 2 brain cells to rub together, like that weren't bipolar and narcissistic. Like you could have given me, you know, I moved up here to the suburbs and there was this like whitewashed, like everybody in the suburbs is, you know, comes from a family that puts education first. And like, so like all of these things that I was dealing with, you know, all of these struggles that I had, of like trying to be a good person, what society thinks, what I was told was a good person. And it turns out like, I'm a good person. Like I love people. I want them to know Jesus and I don't want to shove, and I just want to love them. Right. Like I love the verse that talks about like, they will know us by our love. Like that's what I love about Jesus. I love the way that he loves me. And so I just want to love other people like that. And that's without discrimination. That's without judgment. You know, it is just this. I feel like I've gotten kind of lost.
That's okay. No, so honestly, I was just writing down the time on this recording because like the simple way that you recognize Jesus's love for you Like it's getting me teared up right now. Like, my goodness, if we have not gotten it all twisted up. But when you said, I just love the way that Jesus loves me, and I want to love people like that. Like, close the book. That's it.
Right.
You know, like that's it. That's it. And because it's the both and, you know,
Yeah.
and too often people are trying to just focus on one or the other, and like just trying to, you know, experience God, and which is great, right? And like, oh yes, God is amazing, and you know, all the things of our faith, but then missing the call to love others, and to be a river of that love, and not a dam, you know, that just holds it, and like, or that are trying to do the love without receiving the source of that love, like, and like without God, and like, and that river is going to dry up, and that won't be, you know, a blessing. So just the simple summation of like, and I can hear it in the way you said it, that like, I just really love the way Jesus loves me, just like that right there. That's what I want for everybody too. And I'm tearing up because I just was reminded in that moment how, like, on a real intimate level, how much Jesus really loves me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like, if we could just sit in that for a minute, like.
But that's like what I've been doing for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
and surprise, you've been maturing and experiencing your best life ever. Like,
right. Like, I've spent the last what 20 minus 4, 16 years, like, killing myself trying to be this thing. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
And I'm not like, again, like I did grow up in like the 10 years I was super blessed in the churches that I attended, and like the people and the community. Like, there was a lot that needed to get here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's all part of your journey. It's all part of your journey. Yeah.
And so there's no shade on that. It's just me saying, like, I thought Jesus wanted me to do something. And he just wanted me.
Come on. Why you got to make me crying up on this podcast? Y'all, this is not that podcast. This is not like Oprah or whatever those are where they get on and everybody crying every episode. This is us.
Yeah. I haven't cried for months. No, I'm just kidding. I cry all the time. That's really what got me to the place where I'm at now is I thought that I was less than because I wasn't married, and I needed to be married to fulfill my ministry. And that's a whole nother podcast, right? And then, but so there was that. And then I met a guy, and I mean, you walked through that with me. I was like living in your basement with that time, and I kept messing up with that too. And then when I left my ex-husband, you know, we met one year, we got married the next year, we had a baby the next year, we had another baby the next year, and then we got divorced the following year. And it was a whirlwind of me, like, trying to make him love Jesus, like trying to like live like we were supposed to, and like create something that wasn't there. It just wasn't there. And I don't have all of the psychological answers about what that was or how it was or anything, but I praise God for my 2 little boys and the sandpaper that is my ex-husband. And
I'm not gonna get into that one right
how
now.
quickly I just and I'm not like, but how quickly I'm reminded that I'm not good at being a Christian because he's in my life and I am not nice to him. Like I'm just not, like I cannot stand the man. And so like Jesus often reminds me, like I don't have all my P's and Q's, you know, whatever, like I don't have it all together.
Yeah.
But so that whole like period of time, right? When I left him, and then we like lived in the boys and I moved into the homeless shelter, and my car caught on fire and I lost a bunch of my stuff. And like that whole period of time, there was a moment in that when I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like I can't, I'm tired of trying so desperately to be a good Christian and to be what I'm supposed to be and live the American dream. And I can't acquire. I can't work hard enough. We've just survived basically. And here I am. And I was in a moment where Bo was at school and I had taken a week off of work and had made arrangements for my ex-husband to take my kids because I really believed that my kids and the world was just a better place without me. And I grabbed my keys to leave the place where I was staying. And I had left my phone on the bed. And super jacked up. Here I am going to go like off myself, and work called. So I had to make sure I answered it. But anyway, so I answered the phone and it was my boss at the time. And she said, I don't know what's going on, but I really feel like God told me that I needed to call you and tell you that he absolutely adores you, that he is still crazy in love with you, that you are better here than anywhere else, and that there is a purpose for this season.
Wow. And
she spoke the word of God over me. She spoke, there was a specific verse, and I wish I could remember it, but it was basically where, and I think it's in Isaiah, but he's saying that you are a royal diadem, that you have been covered. Your sins are forgiven. This verse talks about your sins, the junk that you've done of your youth. And so in my mind, I was the chief of sinners, right? I had a kid out of wedlock. I had, I struggled with sexual sin consistently. I liked to drink. I liked smoking. I like, like all the things that the world tells you isn't a good Christian, and drugs and all those things. And so it was like, God was just saying, like, we've covered that. We've covered it. And then several years before that, sweet little Brandon and Erica Adkins' little girl, Ellie, had said that she was praying that I would know the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living.
Come on.
She was praying that for me. And she was little, guys. She was so little. But anyway, and so then I remembered that I had this phone call, and then Erica had messaged me because she was actually helping me with a vehicle and set up like a GoFundMe. God totally provided through that whole mess. Like,
I remember that.
Blowing my mind. I was able to get us a place. I was able to get us a car. You know, it helped me finish up my divorce. Like, I was able to buy Christmas gifts with my kids. Like, it was such a phenomenal thing. But in that week after that experience happened, I told God, like, I'm not surviving anymore. I'm not surviving anymore. We're living, because I was in the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. And that has been, and not that there hasn't been hard times, but that was a pinnacle moment of turning, because I started seeing what God was doing and my mindset was different.
Come on.
It was me being able to be thankful and see, like, it wasn't me, but it was definitely Jesus, but also just sitting in his love for me. Like, I had nothing else. I had nothing to give anyone. I wasn't preaching any sermons. I wasn't leading groups, or heck, I wasn't even going to church half the time. And I had nothing. And Jesus was like, I still want you. And I not only do I want you, but I just want to sit here with you. So anyway.
Wow. Well, you guys, the rest of that full-length video, as I said, is going to be released on our YouTube later this week. You can also check that out on Freedom Story Media's YouTube. But powerful stuff. What do you think, though, Jariel?
Oh man, that interview, first of all, I just love Ginn so much. Ginn is like one of the first people who like welcomed me when I first joined Torch. Because for at least a year and a half, I was just coming and leaving. And then she invited me into her small group and I got to know her. And then I went to a women's conference and heard her. She gave like a testimony there. And I was like, man, this girl is awesome and super real. But when she said, I love the way that God loves me, and I just want to love people like that. I love that. And just hearing how, you know, I just resonate with a lot of Ginn's story. Just feeling like you're just doing all these things and it's like never enough and you just don't know what else you can do. And it breaks my heart when she was just telling that story, because I just know like the amazing person that she is and she deserves all the things. But I don't love that she went through that, but I just love where she is now, like that journey, because that time period in her life was so hard, like just watching it. And so I can't imagine like actually living it. And just to see her on the other side of that, like, it's just amazing. God is so good. He's so good.
He is. And I love how in the midst of all of that, like, she went from feeling like she was not living up to God's expectations and having such low expectations of what being blessed by God in this world was going to look like for her, to then flipping that to no longer feeling like she's disappointing God, and then beginning to actually believe that God has a good life to some degree planned for her, right? And like she made that shift from surviving to thriving, or living, as she put it. You know? And that's so huge. And the freedom that you experience in doing that, I mean, it's wonderful. I mean, speaking of freedom, that I pointed out in the full version of this, where it's like we take for granted that that's really the goal that Jesus had for us, is actually that we would be experiencing freedom in him. And then I pointed out to her that it was like, you know, it's not ironic that the podcast that full length is on is called the Freedom Stories Podcast. So if you guys haven't checked out that podcast before, you'll hear probably there's like 14, 15 other interviews that are already there from the previous seasons, and you're going to see the full-length version or hear the full-length version of this one, and when it's released, and the full-length video as well will be at like I said, this YouTube. So go ahead and subscribe now, as well as at Freedom Story Media's YouTube. Any final thoughts before we close it down here in this epic episode?
No, this was I think this was a good first episode. I loved how everything kind of flowed together. I loved it, the way the message I feel like the Lord was like giving us today about just we're all imperfect, we're all broken, and look what he does with broken people. Amen.
And like I feel like that should be the message of our lives in general. Is not only the core of it being like the love like Jesus loves us, but then also look at what God does. Like look at the work that he does, And we're so excited to be able to be a part of that. I want to celebrate really quickly our sponsor of this. The whole thing is Freedom Story Media. That is the vehicle that produces the content. And if you're somebody right now who is looking for, maybe you've got a small business or something you want to do in your journey with a video or a website or a graphic, freedomstorymedia.com is going to be the place for you to go for that. So I wanted to point that out. And I would say thank them, but like real talk, like I'm running that. So we are excited to be able to be a part of that. And Jariel is a big part of that engine as well, along with my daughter. So and the Unshackled Network is another one of our core sponsors. And I want to encourage you guys once again, go to unshacklednetwork.org. Check out what it is that God's doing. Go to the Give tab and maybe be a part of Pastor Abraham's campaign as they try to look to continue to further their delivery of the gospel there in Nairobi. We got somebody on Facebook saying, yo, I don't know who it is, but it's probably Chewy. He's usually our Facebook commenter. So, I mean, it doesn't say his name. So if it's you, Chewy, we'll say what's up. If it's not you, whoever it is, yo, back at you. But having said that, we are super, super excited to be back at these episodes. And the next one is going to be coming at y'all in a couple weeks. What is that, October 1st? We should have episode 2. And make sure you subscribe right here so you don't miss that. And we'll be looking for y'all to be back there with us and chatting with us as well. And thanks to Mercedes and Rashonda and everybody else who's been watching live. And if you're watching this on the replay,
hey, Chewy.
It is Chewy. All right. What up, Chewy? He said laugh out loud, yes. All right. Well, we don't want to hold y'all any longer. It looks like we're going to be doing a 90-minute flow with these shows. So enjoy that. And hey, if you're listening, because this is also going to be on the Pastor Fury audio experience, thanks for listening. And we'll check y'all out later. Be blessed and be a blessing. Peace.